You pretty much already have seen the whole crazy lore drop when it comes down to the Moon Sisters and, the whole, like, moon falling and all that type of stuff. And basically all the craziness that we're probably going to see in Nagpra when that ultimately gets dropped, which hopefully that'll be around May, I'm assuming, because that's when the event ends, so I assume so, but we'll see when we actually get there. But when it comes down to it though, there is one part of this whole event that kind of clicks something in my brain, and I haven't seen people talk about it, or at least I haven't seen people in my timeline or anywhere bring this idea up. And I'm not the biggest, like, obviously eloquent person when it talks about lore and things of sort like that. I'm not a super genius or anything of the sort. I am very much just as confused as Genshin lore is in how things happen, and things still can be explained to me and I still don't get it. But there is one thing that I will say that absolutely is just on the brain of how I think all this could have came to be. Now, to kind of understand, we need to go ahead and talk about what actually was said in that web event regarding the moons. First of all, the Eternal Moon. When it fell, the heaven and earth was basically just thrown into chaos. You could saw in the whole visual that it was floods and all that type of stuff that kind of ruined everything for the earth. Then you have the Iridescent Moon that shattered, that basically had the crimson shadow of it just fall into the abyssal sea, where the hell that is. And then essentially, you get the Frost Moon, that is basically just, just said F it, I don't want to do my job anymore, and just froze over the entirety of the planet, and that's just kind of how it is. So, there's things you could pull from this. One, the Frost Moon, and I believe there is multiple versions of the Moon Sister story in-game that you can find, maybe. I'm not sure. Again, you have to check this out for yourself. I'm just taking a guess just from reading the wiki. But when it comes down to it though, from what the wiki said, the Frost Moon basically just sat in their palace. One of the sisters of it sat in their palace because I want to say the other moons died off somehow because it's a great calamity, whatever that entails. And that's the reason why the Frost Moon did what it did. And as you kind of also look through these stories that, you read on the wiki site, you can definitely tell that there might be maybe a red herring that Hoyoverse is trying to throw out. I don't know. It just feels like they wouldn't throw out these many versions of the story and then all of it is true, right? Or at least it can be, and they just mix it all together somehow and people got their information wrong. But I feel like some of these are just red herrings. Like, I don't understand why the Moon Sisters would kill each other and then that's the thing that happens and that's why things happen. That doesn't make sense. I don't get that. Maybe the corpse thing, sure, but like, how all that happened in the calamity, we just don't know. The Iridescent Moon that fell into the abyssal sea and had the whole red, like, crimson, moon nonsense going on with it. Now, this could be very much two things. It could be also, because if you really look at it, it's red and white on the outside. So it could be one part of that moon just straight up fell into, the spiral abyss or something like that, and maybe that's why that moon is there. And then obviously the red moon could very much be the one for Conria, which would very much, make a whole bunch of sense. But then when you get into, the actual Eternal Moon, that's when I'm like, what the hell is this? Because when it comes down to it, it says that when that moon in, actual text, when it fell, it literally caused the whole world to basically just get overran with chaos, and we got to see that there was a flood at some point in time. And hell, there is information and in-game stuff that you can see where there is a flood that happened across the Leeway section, across just all over the damn place essentially. And there's even like a whole mission in Genshin where you have like this researcher dude that's trying to figure out, these fossils that's lost in the rock in the chasm. And essentially he doesn't even know why the hell it's there. So there's some shady shit on this one in particular. Now, I'm also going to give credit to Brand Online, much less Cat with Blue Hat. I think that's the channel name. I'm sorry. But when it comes down to it though, when they were basically kind of, bringing this stuff up, they was also talking about how Zhongli kind of had to deal with the flood and whatever, and essentially when it came down to it, it was like, oh yeah, there's like this whole flood that messed up Leeway, and Zhongli kind of had to come through and fix that whole thing up, and that's why you have that I assume that's why you had that whole ass reservoir type of thing at that one domain that kind of just has like a bunch of water for whatever X reason, and we had to flood that down. So that could be remnants of the dang flood itself. So there is that. And reading the wiki again, I don't really know how only true this is, but when it comes down to Legends of the Moon Sisters, the only places that, at least from the wiki, that we get to see any info from truly is from Mondstadt, Liyue, and Sumeru. Now, you know, Sumeru, pretty easily, we can kind of deduce that, yeah, the Crimson Moon most likely fell in that region because that's where Conria is, the door to Conria at least, where that is, and that probably is what it did for that whole thing. Then at the very same time, you could easily sit here and say the Eternal Moon is the reason why, you know, Liyue got flooded hard as hell when it came down to it, and that's just kind of, again, how that is. But also, if we look at the text of the Eternal Moon, it specifically said it fell somewhere. But where the hell would it have fallen, though? If you really think about it, there's only really one place where it had fallen, and that's Mondstadt. Because, again, you know, yeah, sure, you could say maybe Liyue could have something to do with it. I mean, hell, even in the name, there is a reference to Moon into Liyue's name. Sure, but I don't think that's the full case, though. Plus, if we're going to compare moon references from Mondstadt to Liyue, I think Mondstadt has more moon references, even when it comes down to, you know, its characters and how some of the, you know, whole ass Hexen Circle kind of is related to some moon bits of it, or at least did some stuff when it comes down to it, like Simulanka, you got Mona with the hat and all that type of stuff. So there is some moon nonsense going on when it comes down to Mondstadt, whether you like it or not. But then, when you really think about it one more time, that it fell somewhere, what else fell into the damn ocean? You know, what makes sense for it to be there and is also suspected to be part of something to do with the damn moon? It's Paimon. It's dead-ass Paimon. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. This hit me like a brick when I first thought about it, and it clicked in my brain. I was like, wait, so if the crescent moon is in Conria, and there could be another moon maybe in the Spiral Abyss or something like that, how the hell would this relate to Paimon in a way? This doesn't make sense, but then it kind of does. It's something that fell into the damn ocean. We pulled Paimon out of the damn ocean. You could say, well, this doesn't make sense because, you know, there's a Spiral Abyss moon, right? Why is that there? And sure, but remember when I said there's like two parts of that? So it could be just that one fell into the Spiral Abyss, or the other one essentially just fell into Conria and stuff like that. But still at the same time, the moons itself isn't the people, right? Sure, they are the Moon Sisters, but that doesn't necessarily mean they are just straight up moon people, like it's the end from Sonic Frontiers. That's not how that goes. Maybe it's the fact they are actual people, and the fact that because they're actual people, they could, you know, very much go and do something a bit different, like per se be a separate person and kind of just fall into the damn ocean, right? Again, I'm not the most elegant person when it comes to theorycraft and all that stuff, but this shit just sounds like this could happen. Plus, if you are someone that is very much aware of how certain Japanese games work in storytelling and just Asian storytelling in general, sometimes the most ridiculous idea is exactly where they want you to think. Right? It's exactly what happens. Like, think about Dragon Ball Daima for a second. Why did Machin Ku beat the hell out of Goma and save the day? Wait, does that make sense? No. But at the very same time, I can see it happening because that's the type of storytelling I can definitely expect from something like that, right? And I've seen it multiple times in multiple games before. So who the hell to say this one moment isn't us pulling up the literal damn moon that fell, and essentially we're just kind of chill with it the entire damn time? What if this was just the whole damn point? Granted, there is also plenty of points on Paimon herself with design that literally screams, hey, I'm someone that's very unique and different. Why am I the only one that looks unique and different compared to basically the entirety of the cast? I don't know, man. Maybe it's the giant ass star, maybe it's the star capes and moon capes in the back. I don't necessarily know, but at the end of the day, it would feel a bit like, I'm not gonna lie, it would feel a bit disappointing if Paimon wasn't the actual moon that fell, right? And again, we don't know what caused the calamity. Could the Moon Sisters kill each other? Sure, that could be one thing, but at the very same time, I don't think that's truly the whole story though. right? Because there's, again, many different legends and folk tales and all that type of stuff about what happened with the moon. And at the end of the day, maybe some of those are just wrong. Maybe some of those are just red herrings, and Hoyo just like to throw shit out there just because, oh, we just want to misdirect people. And at this point in time, as we're kind of getting moon lore, like, come on, like, it feels like there is something here that we should pay attention to. The only thing that we know from the actual wiki is that essentially the Moon Sisters was together at one point in time. They live in the Lunar Palace. They were enjoying the hell at the Morning Star Sun or whatever. And essentially they just kind of rotated their jaws around like 3 times a month. And that's really the only thing we know. We don't necessarily know about what happened during the calamity or what actually happened. And that's where the story differs. For all we know, you know, it could be just the fact that maybe one of the Moon Sisters died, and maybe all of them didn't die. Maybe there's, you know, a chance that they are somehow alive in some shape or form. Or maybe just, again, it could just be the 2 that's still alive and then just one that did die, right? Again, there is reasons for this shit. I don't think Hoyoverse would toss up this many ideas only for one of them to be correct. I feel like they would toss up ideas and mix it all together, because they have done that before, right? So I don't sit here and think, oh, it's just one Moon Sister. No, it gotta be like multiple, maybe. It could be, you know? And especially if, and again, it would make sense, because it's like, well, if, you know, one stayed in the palace and, you know, that's how things have happened and things froze over, and the story literally tells you, yes, stuff on Tibet froze over, and that must be true. It has to be, because how would that work? Unless something happens to that Moon Sister later on and she died or something like that, but I don't think they would do that, right? Or unless, again, something happened, I don't know, and then maybe that's the case, but then at the very same time, still, how do you explain the whole Paimon thing too? That's like a whole nother thing too. And even if it's not true, it is one hell of a way to explain it, because I don't think, still to this day, we had any story or dialogue ever talking about what happened to Paimon before that moment, right? So she could have very much been in Mondstadt Sea for years, which would make sense, and honestly could make sense plot-wise and things of sort like that. But at the same time, it kind of doesn't, in a slight way, because how would she tell us about how, you know, these nations are, or maybe, you know, these nations were already a thing, and that's just because that could be how it is, you know? But at the same time, there's also bits of lore that Paimon does know. The only thing I will add to this whole thing too is that I like how everybody kind of has a different interpretation of what Paimon actually is. Have you ever maybe considered that could be a reason as to why? You know, maybe it's because, you know, when they try to exile outside that whole, you know, calamity or whatever the hell happened at that point in time, maybe there was something there that happened. I mean, it's not like, I mean, with people kind of knowing some stuff of the Moon Sisters, you would think somebody would remember something, right? You would think so. Hell, even the Moon Sisters themselves would probably call something out. If there was a calamity and they died and killed each other, you would think one of the damn Moon Sisters would call that shit out, and they would absolutely just, you know, do something about that, and wouldn't be in tears, especially the Frost Moon be in tears over her dead sisters, when the sisters is still very much alive, or could be very much alive. It's not like there's a moment where, you know, also we can think about it where the Moon Sisters kind of, you know, lost their memory or nothing like that. It didn't have anything like that to happen.
I got 21!
What? You got 21?
I landed on 21!
Bro, I'm folding for you. I'm folding for you. You got it. Letting you win this.
Wait. I won 20,000 chips!
Oh shit. Okay, so if that is the case, and if somehow Paimon just lost her damn memory and is a Moon Sister and was punished for it and all that type of stuff, I assume and could also pretty much guess the reason why Na'Cry is dealing with moons and, you know, Dottore is there is because they want to do something with that concept. Maybe the reason why they burn Irminsul is not to say screw to that or screw, you know, all that other stuff, but it's like, let's have people remember the damn Moon Sisters and have that to kind of be a thing. Maybe that's the reason why he wants to burn the shit out of Irminsul. I don't know. Again, very much my whole ass guess, but it all adds up and it makes way too much sense for that not to be the case. I'm just being honest. And as far as what this new moon is that is trying to come through, maybe it's something with the Torre, maybe it's something that he's just trying to be like, oh yeah, we don't have a moon sister, so you know what, screw it, we're gonna go ahead and make our own moon sister with the Gnosis and all that type of stuff. Maybe that's the reason why, because hell, we still have to get the Gnosis off Malwika to get to Fatui. So don't know when that's gonna happen, but it's gonna happen at some point in time, probably in a more nearer patch. So who really knows, honestly? So we'll dead ass have to see. But that's my 2 cents into it. So again, overall, I fully believe Paimon is one of the moon sisters that fell into the ocean. We pull her out, and she's been moon sisters that have been chilling with us the entire time. Hell, for all we know, because Sealies were also up into, you know, the heaven area, and they knew about the moon sisters as well. They came from them, I think, too, part of them. And when it comes down to it, for all we know, Columbina might see Paimon and she might be like, oh shit, how are you here? And for all we know, it could be like a what the hell situation is this? So, again, and this is why Columbina has been my favorite character to hopefully learn about and be on some crazy type timing, because she's literally, you know, super related to all that stuff. So, I don't know. There's very much a lot of stuff that could be interpreted when it comes down to this. But I fully believe Paimon is deadass one of the parts, at least one of the sisters of the moon that fell into the whole ass ocean, and we pulled her out. And essentially, you got the frost moon that froze stuff, and who knows what happened to her. And then obviously, maybe one of the moon sisters did die, but again, who really knows, because there isn't any information about what actually happened. So again, there's a lot of info, and there's a lot of misinfo the game is deliberately throwing at us, because who really knows? I could be wrong, but I'm just throwing this out there just because. But that's essentially, I guess, all I got to say for this one. Again, let me know in the comments if you really think this is the case, because I'm just taking a piss at this. I'm just taking a guess. It just feels too weird to not say that this couldn't be a possibility, because, again, very much it could be. But that's essentially all I'm saying for this one, so hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification on my outs. Also follow my socials, and if you'd like to donate to the channel, Kofi and Cash App is available as well. And until then, it's BoJay, signing off. Have a blessed day.